Good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everyone doing? My name is Muya Makina Banda, aka Coach Kai. Now, sometimes this is misleading because people say, who are you? Are you Coach Kai or are you Muya Banda? Real name Muya Banda. Coach Kai is the alias that I use with regards to life coaching. First of all, I want to say thank you to every single person that made this possible, from Dr. Nellie, Coach Josh, Dr. Joyce, and everyone in the PLD network, including the person who doesn't get enough credit for what it is that he does, our IT guy, Nsama, as well as our other IT guy, Given. So, I would really like to know, where are you coming at me from? Okay, let me know in the comment section. Where are you coming at me from? Are you in Zambia? If you're in Zambia, which part of Zambia? Let me know the province. Let me know the city. Let me know the town. Right now, excuse me. Right now, I'm coming at you live and direct from the beautiful, loud, boisterous city of Kitwe. Where else would you want to be if you were on the copper belt other than Kitwe? Today, what I would like to talk to you about is a very simple concept, and this concept is coming from the book that Dr. Nellie authored and officially launched in April. Okay, it's her book, Boardroom to Bedroom. Now, I know some people, when they hear boardroom to bedroom, they think, eesh, it's spicy, it's provocative, and so on and so forth. So please just let me explain to you in a nutshell what boardroom to bedroom is talking about. The boardroom aspect is the marketplace. It's where you get your monies, your figures, your ones and zeros, the dinero, the moolah, the cherete, as we call it here in Zambia. That's what the boardroom is. Now, when we talk about the bedroom, this is where there are issues, because people will think, we're talking about the bedroom, just the bedroom in and of itself. No, the bedroom aspect is the home front, the entire house, but not just the house and the yard, but the people who reside within the confines of that yard and that house. What is the relationship like with your spouse, with your children, with your maid, with your garden boy, and so on and so forth? That is what the bedroom front is talking about. So when you talk about boardroom to bedroom, we're talking about striking a balance, a work-life balance, as it were. And Coach Mike said brilliantly, and I agree with him. He said, there's no such thing as work-life balance. Sometimes you'll be leaning more towards one end, sometimes you'll be leaning more towards the other. In fact, when you take it to the biblical aspect, right? The Bible clearly states in the book of Ecclesiastes that there's a time for everything, a season for everything under the sun. So just the same way that there was a season where Dr. Nellie was penning down her thoughts on boardroom to bedroom, and then there was a season in which the book had to be edited. Now there is a season in which the book is being shared with the world and being distributed across the globe in the literal sense. It is the same way even when you bring it down to your life. Okay, look at how it was when we were in grade school. For instance, there was a season in which we were being introduced to a grade. You're now in eighth grade. You're now in ninth grade. It's the introduction. You've never been here before. So we had to be acclimatized to that. We had to get orientation. If you changed schools, now you had a different uniform. You had a different set of teachers. You had a different set of rules. They would be very similar to those of the previous school. But nonetheless, it wasn't the exact same school. So life in and of itself has got transitional periods. For instance, before I started to work for PLD, I was working for a different company. Before I started to work for PLD, I was working as an accountant. Now I'm in PLD. I'm a life coach in training, and that is what I am doing while I'm being trained to do it. So there was a period of transition way back in the day. Well, not so long ago, a few months ago, as it were. And during that time of transition, there were certain things that were out of whack, including my home front, the boardroom to bedroom aspect, the work life balance. There was a shift of the tectonic plates, as it were. Some things needed to be changed around. Some things needed to be learned, some things needed to be removed, some things needed to be added, and so on and so forth. Was it rocky? Yes, it was. Was it dicey? Yes, it was. But do you know what I had that other people do not have? The majority of the people that I work with are also life coaches in different regard. So um, Coach Rabson, for instance, Coach Rabson taught me a little bit, and he's been teaching me over the months, a little bit about mental and physical toughness, not fitness, but toughness. He helped me to understand that your mental faculties, your will to be able to do something, has to be backed up with how physically fit you are at present, and how physically fit you can develop yourself, and so on and so forth. Coach Mike, who's brilliant when it comes to self discovery, began to ask me questions that were interrogative, that helped me look within myself to find out, what do I already possess? What are my innate giftings and powers, and so on and so forth, that I can locate within myself and then build on to help me move from this point in my life to the next point in my life, and so on and so forth. So, other people, unfortunately, do not have this. But I had it, and I'm going to explain how you can make the most of what it is that you have wherever it is that you are. Some people would tell me about the way this would be at work. They would tell me about how I needed to find balance within myself regarding my emotions, learning how to listen, learning how to react in a way that is not negative to the person who is listening. In a sense, they help me understand that just because you say something in a manner that is not offensive, or in a tone that is not offensive, does not mean that the person that you're speaking to will not take offense. At first, what I was thinking is, well, the language was polite enough, the tone was polite enough. Why would someone take things a certain way? It is because we are different. So, as Dr. Nellie was taking us through the classes of life coaching, she began to tell us about the various colors. Some of you may already know the colors. Some of you may not know the colors. You might not even know what your temperament, or what your color, or what your disposition is with regards to that. So there's red, there's yellow, there's blue, and there is green. So at first, I was convinced that I was red, the people who are pioneers, the people that go forward and do whatever needs to be done, the people who are usually the leaders or the ringleaders. That's who I assumed I was. But when I went to work and I sat down with everyone else and we were talking, we're just having a casual talk. One of them, Coach Mike, in fact, is the one who said, I don't think you're red. He said, you should either check, you might be green or blue. So I began to monitor myself, and I began to go through, what are the pros and the cons? How do people who are green act? Now, one of the things about the greens is that they're regimented, they're organized, they like things to be done a certain way. To some extent, you would say these people have got OCD, or you would say that they are perfectionists. I started to look at myself. How do I organize my desk? How do I like things put in place? And then something dawned on me. Isn't this the same way that I carry myself at home? Now, do you see why the home front is important, just like the work front is important? You will not act a different way at home than you do at work. You are the same person. You can't help it. You can pretend for a little bit of time, but if you are generally impatient, you will be impatient at home, and you will be impatient at work. So you know how the saying goes, and it sounds very cliche, but think about it. The saying goes, charity begins at home. Okay? To me, it never really made sense. I was like, charity begins at home. Oh my gosh, it doesn't even rhyme. It doesn't have, that je ne sais quoi. There's something about that is missing. At least that's what I used to think. But as I've been mulling it over, as I've been growing, I began to see the sense in it. If you cannot listen to the people who you live with when they talk about something that you go through on a regular basis, if you cannot get advice from them, chances are you will not get advice from the people that you work with, because you spend less time with them. Hence the term, charity begins at home. If you cannot take time to learn from the people who you actually live with, the people who you see every single day, they're the first people you see in the morning, they're the last people that you see at night. If you cannot take advice from them, especially advice that pinches, that hurts, advice that cuts certain parts of your ego, if you're unable to take that from the people who you live with, chances are you won't be able to take it from the people that you work with. It's just a psychological thing. But whether or not, or how quickly you can take that advice or shut it down, depends on your temperament. I remember a saying from this actor named Terrence Howard. It was in the movie by 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. His saying was, when I'm right, I'm right. And when I'm wrong, I'm still right. Because I was wrong, but I could have been right. So the first time I heard that, I laughed out loud. I said, this guy is delusional. But I liked saying that even to myself because I didn't want to be wrong. Think about it. How difficult would it be to live with someone who is convinced that they are never wrong? Because all of us are wrong every now and again. And sometimes we are genuinely wrong, like we just don't know. And that's where acceptance and being able to admit, I've been doing things the wrong way in the past, but now I'm willing to learn how to do things the right way, and I'm willing to start from scratch. Most people do not want that. It is easier to carry on doing the wrong thing than to change everything around and to begin doing the right thing, bits and pieces at a time. And that is difficult for someone like me to admit. But if you can't admit it out loud, the likelihood of change is next to nil. And if you keep being the same person that you have been in the past, you will keep getting the same things that you have gotten. That is where you are the most punctual. You are the hardest working. You are everything and a bag of chips. But guess what? You cannot get a promotion simply because of your attitude. Dr. Nelly actually has emphasized this, and I don't think she has overemphasized it because it is cardinal. Your attitude. When you're with your spouse, when you're with your children, what is your attitude? When you're with your co-workers, the people who you're at the same level with, what is your attitude? When you're with your co-workers, you know, the ones who've got a rank above you and they're trying to teach you how things are run in the company that you work for, what is your attitude? Even when it comes to learning, right? Some people have bought the Boardroom to Bedroom book. By the way, if you haven't bought it, I recommend that you buy it before the end of this week. Don't just read it yourself. Get two copies, in fact, okay? Get two copies. Get one copy for your spouse and get one copy for yourself. The copy that you get for yourself, underline what you find important for yourself. It's not for you to read it and say, yeah, my husband needs to change, my wife needs to change. No. I learned this the hard way. The first person who's supposed to change is self. The only person that you have power over is yourself. So you get that book. You get that book, Boardroom to Bedroom. You begin to read it. You begin to outline the parts of yourself that needs to change. And to take it a step further, you begin to outline the parts of you that needs to change, but you need help in order to do that. My elder brother keeps on saying all the time, he says, you cannot see the picture when you're part of the frame. You see, I had to come out of myself and start to look at myself from a distance and begin to ask myself critical questions. The way that I am developing, the way that I am growing, whether it is physically, intellectually, emotionally, financially, spiritually, and so on and so forth, the way that I am growing, the way that I am developing, is this the manner that I want to develop? Is this the direction that I want to go? Those are the questions I had to start asking myself. Dear listener, if you can hear what I am saying is not for somebody else, it is for you. Begin to interrogate yourself. How can you change for the better? Because some people are changing, but it is not for the better. Are you growing in a manner that is beneficial, not just for yourself, but also for the people around you? Here's another cliche phrase: no man is an island. Those of us who grew up, who were born in the 1980s, okay, 84, 85, 86, we grew up hearing this. We heard it from our teachers, we heard it from our guidance counselors, we heard it from our family, our friends. No man is an island. It sounds cliche, but let me tell you one thing: it is not. It is true. What we do affects the people around us, okay? Let me give you a practical example. If Dr. Nelly didn't say, I have learned this and I would like to teach it, do you think people like me would exist? Yes, I had a platform, but it was a minuscule platform. Some of you have never even heard of Coach Kai. Some of you have run into me on social media, on various social media platforms, but did you ever take time to look at what it is that I was doing or saying? I needed beefing up. I needed revamping. I needed that, what do they call it? They call it the X factor, okay? I keep going back to the French version of it. The je ne sais quoi. I needed that. And Dr. Nellie looked at me and she said, okay, eloquent man, no problem. Okay, this guy thinks he's all that on a bag of chips. He thinks he's got it. He thinks he's the bee's knees, his nose, and his arteries. He needs fine tuning. And so Dr. Nelly began to fine tune me and fine tune me. And before you even saw anything of me on PLD, she was there in the background, removing things and placing things and tightening screws and making it so that when I came to speak, I wasn't misrepresenting PLD, but most importantly, I was echoing what she says from a different vantage point. Sorry about that. I've got a bit of a flu. A different vantage point. That's all that it is. Your home front will not change. You can shift from the house where you are to another house. You can change jobs. You can change careers. You can change how you dress. You can even change your accent. But for as long as your mindset doesn't change, nothing about you is going to change. It's all about the mindset. Why do you think the good book says the mind is the battlefield? Okay? It's all about your mind. Change your mind. Change your personality, change your attitude, and your entire life is going to change. I guarantee you that. So, what are the few tools that I can give you? Number one, you need humility. Whether it's in the boardroom or on the home front, which is the bedroom, you need humility. You can't learn and be a know-it-all. No, I know it. I know how to do. I know. It's not going to work. And I can guarantee you, I know it's not going to work because that was me. That was me. I thought I knew it. I thought I thought I was God's gift to all the universe when it came to public speaking. Till I showed up at PLD. Then I began to meet different people. I met Coach Josh. I met Coach Wupe. Dr. Nellie herself. I met Coach Mike. I met Coach Rabson. I met Coach Winnie, Coach Etta. I met Coach Raquel. You people, when I began to be exposed, that's when I began to see that I wasn't all of that and there was more that I needed to learn. So to humility, what else are you supposed to add? You are supposed to add exposure. Exposure. See more. Observe more, learn more, go out there and expose yourself to things that you've never been exposed to before. You cannot say you don't like lobster, you don't like shrimp and steak if you've never tried it. How can you even? How can you say, I don't like kumquats? Have you ever had a kumquat before? I don't like dragon fruit. Have you ever had dragon fruit before? Humility, exposure. What's the next one? Patience. Now, this one is very difficult for me to talk about because I am not the most patient person in the world. I mean, I'm trying. Bear with me. In the words of the comedian Steve Harvey, don't trip. God's not through with me yet. I'm not the most patient person, but thank God I'm not as impatient as I used to be. I'm learning how to be more patient. I would love to be more patient. So I'm working towards it. Why do you need patience? Because when you're learning something, especially when it's difficult and when it's close to your heart, some things are difficult. Some things are difficult. Shout out to Pastor Zika. Sir, I commend you. I salute you. In Zambia, we say Jombo Yarida, meaning when you salute, you know how the soldiers, they stomp their foot on the ground. That's what we call Jombo Yarida. I salute Pastor Zika because Pastor Zika told me the truth. It was painful, but he told me something that I needed to hear. He said, stop talking back. Sometimes learn to listen. You might be smart. You might know what you're talking about, but you don't know everything about the subject matter. Sometimes learn to listen. And even when he was talking, it was difficult for me to stomach. I had to walk away. I had to sit for a bit and I had to scratch my head and I said, where am I missing it? And it didn't dawn on me in a day. It didn't dawn on me in a month. It took some doing. So, in order for me to look back at what he was saying and start looking at it from a standpoint of how do I apply it in my life practically, I needed time. So, first, I needed to be humble enough to listen while the pastor was talking. Then, I needed to expose myself to his wisdom. Now that I've got his wisdom, I've been exposed to him. What's the next thing? I needed to be patient enough to soak in what he was saying and begin to look at how I could apply it to myself so that my life could change for the better. It's not everyone who you're going to find who's going to say what you need to hear in a manner that you can deem quote unquote appropriate or polite. Some people are blunt. Some people just go for the jugular. They'll just tear you to shreds, not because they want to destroy you, but because they want to get rid of certain aspects of you as quickly as possible so that you can move forward faster than ever. So, like I said, I was talking about how I'm exposed to a whole bunch of life coaches. I wasn't saying that to brag. I was saying that to talk about our mentorship program, our 5-week mentorship program, personalized mentorship. Why do you need that? Because when you get that, you're not just being taught how to use certain aspects of your life and so on and so forth. You're also being taught how to regiment yourself. And while that is happening during these 5 weeks, you're exposed to the people that I was exposed to and then some. You're not learning from one person. Here's another cliche phrase. It takes a village to raise a child. Now you might say, I'm not a child anymore. Guess what? On the inside, we never grow up. When we throw tantrums and when we do things that don't make sense, that's the inner child acting up. So if you want to grow, what do? You have to get in touch with your inner child. You have to be around someone who allows you to connect with your inner child, who allows you to do quote unquote childish things because you're trying to bring out what's on the inside of you. So please, if you haven't done a single cohort, if you've never joined us for the personalized mentorship program as PLD, then please sign up. Let us know how we can help you. We've got so many programs, but we can only do so much. You have to follow us. You have to come to us. Inbox us on our socials. Call us. Find out the name of the admin so that the number of the admin so that you can give us a call so that we can find out how can we make the rest of your life the best of your life on both fronts, the boardroom and the bedroom. And if you want a copy of boardroom to bedroom, again, hit us up. Hit me up in my inbox. The rest of my coaches are in the comment section. Hit them up. Find out how much it costs and find out how soon you can get yourself a copy. I'll wind up and wind down by saying this. Not only do I appreciate what PLD is doing for me as an individual, helping me live my best life as a life coach, but I appreciate the fact that they have gone through painstaking, what is the term? They have gone through difficulties just to be able to help me learn how I can be my authentic self. So today, go out there and be your authentic self. Don't be a facade. Don't be a mirage of who you actually are. Don't be a version of yourself. Be your true, authentic self, because guess what? Your true, authentic self, that's where the money is. That's where the wealth is. Whether it's wealth in money or wealth in friends or wealth in peace, that's where your wealth is. Being your true, genuine self. Don't be afraid to expose yourself because you've got imperfections here and there. Who doesn't have imperfections? I'm tall up from the floor up. But I wear my imperfections with pride because they are things that I am actively working on. Don't be ashamed to admit that you are work in progress. You cannot say to a house that is under construction that it is ugly, because it is simply under construction. My name is Muya Makina Banda, aka Coach Kai. My friends call me Coach. I will be so privileged if you call me Coach. Please reach out to us at PLD. Reach out to us on the socials. Give us a call. Send us an email. Heck, send us a smoke signal if you're into that thing. Make sure that the rest of your life is the best of your life. Thank you so much for giving me your time. Have a good one.